Hello everyone, Burb here. I am done with Leo Cup. I have completed all my aces. I did get them done on registration day. And when that happens, I like to go over the build process from start to finish. I find it's rather useful. You'll be able to see my frustrations with the CM, my parent building into my ace building, and finally I will go and show the final team, which you can consider as a few bits of example builds. At the end, I'll be kind of putting up against each other to see which one is the best one in sort of a little show match or a little fun race at the end. For frustrations, there wasn't really that many. The biggest thing is that I kind of got into dedicated parent building this CM, and when you're kind of building the types of characters that are able to race match on the dirts as well as the mile mediums and longs, a lot of them don't have any sprint aptitude whatsoever. So I had to make the choice between building parents for the sprint CM, which is really only this CM and then not really ever again, or just building generally great parents. And because I'm at the early stages, I'm still at a point where I'm not really hitting diminishing returns, and so I can still have marginal progress watching me hit a good parent that's slightly better than the previous one that I did. So the sort of looping thing between like stuff like Pasa, Oguri Cap, and Agnes Digital, none of those have sprint aptitude unless I force it, and I wasn't really able to hit sprint sparks. Even when I was going and forcing my sprint to A on stuff like Taiki Shuttle, she just wasn't proccing sprint. She has other stuff, even with rerolls. It just wasn't really that good. And so I kind of abandoned that line of thinking and just said, hey, my aces are going to be, I guess, subpar, or I'm just going to have to hit really hard in order for them to actually get Sprint S. This is kind of the thing I was talking about where, like, if you really wanted to, you could just kind of get Turf S, and it's not as good as Sprint S, but it's at least something to help you out, and that kind of lends more towards the general parent building. The other problem is kind of a lobster too juicy situation, but honestly, with the release of Unity 2.0, there was just a lot of content for me to make. I knew that there was a need because this is a whole lot of new information, and it was very overwhelming for me as well. But making good videos and making content for you all to get you all up to par in this champions meeting and beyond was rather good for the channel health. I will not lie for that. So when I had the choice between building an ace, building a parent, and building a good video, the other two were kind of the priorities because they were like lasting effects over this CM. Now I did end up making some very good aces, but I do know that my potential for this CM could have been much higher if I would have spent more time into it. But sometimes there are competing things that you got to think about. There is other things in life that happens, and that is kind of the testament to the CM. But I will go over the entire build process I did from scratch because I do think I did balance a lot of the stuff and did have a little bit of creativity in actually going and making these aces because I just wanted to keep parent farming. Honestly, it's fun. It's a little bit mind numbing, but when I'm going out walking around and doing just various Unity runs, it's kind of therapeutic, honestly. So that's really what I was enjoying, and that's what I kept doing. So I was going to hybridize this. I don't know if I did change the thumbnail or not because I'm recording this prior to that, but I wanted to hybridize this because there is a good section about this, about parent building. This is sort of an example more than anything else about how powerful parent building can be, because even if your parents aren't great, you can see how easy it is to convert them into a situation where you can make a good ace just from the other half, borrowing a good other half of the of your parent lineage. So the whole parent building process just begins with you starting out with a hit on some good skills. Like I said in the first video, I really was looking for just like Umastan and some good secondaries, and like this isn't the greatest one. Yes, it has a great blue, but it has a Pace Chaser pink, which is completely useless and is actually detrimental for my late surger style of play because it'll make my late surgers into Pace Chasers and possibly proc more pink sparks. That's why this is kind of called colloquially as herpes, because you can't really get rid of it. But otherwise, this is just like a good start. It was a Unity ace that had wins on like 17 races or whatever that Pasta gets. I think it dropped one race, and after that you use this with a good borrow, and this is a great borrow. This is JJ's. It's really, really great. And these two combined, you just kind of go and fill in the little triangle. All these aces have a lot of mile, medium, and dirt G1s that they can do that match their very high affinity. And you don't really feel it on the first loop because your affinity for your parent is still absolute garbage. But when you hit for the first time, and I used Agnes Digital because she has Super Stand, which doubles the chance of Umastan appearing, to go and basically make my first passable parent. At this point, now I have a parent that actually has Umastan on 3, basically, and it does actually have a bonus of having Restraint on 2 and Nimble on 2, and some minor ones throughout, but this parent is just very good on its own. Now, it's not perfectly race tuned. In order to do that, you got to go and loop it back one more time. So I swap back over to PASA because my loop right now is Oguri Cap, Agnes Digital, and PASA, who can share all those 20 races or so. And by doing this one more time, and all I had to do was hit one more time, and all of a sudden now I have a race-matched Umastan parent that does have a bunch of minor stuff. So I have a good parent at this point. And for the Sprint CM, what I knew is that I wanted to play late surges, and late surges have a very difficult to acquire skill in leap forward. So what I did was just go and continue the loop, but instead of borrowing a good or great general parent with all the URA stuff in it, trying to loop into the URA skills, I instead wanted to loop in leap forward. So I picked a parent that had 3 sets of leap forward on it, that had a decent blue, that had some Umastan as well to keep the Umastan loop going alive. So all I needed was Umastan plus leap forward on a parent. And from my general parent that I had, I just did one more loop with Agnes Digital. I made sure that I picked a character that had the double chance on Umastan to hit. I just kept running her until she hit Umastan plus leap forward. And if you notice, there's not a sprint spark nor a turf spark to be seen on this quote-unquote final parent that I would use for this sprint CM. Fact of the matter is, the thing that is kind of unique in parenting is that you kind of go for the hardest things to acquire, and a lot of those things are usually the white skills. Because this has leap forward on 2 sides of the parent, there is a decent chance of actually hitting it, and we can kind of deal with the Sprint S later. So how do we get Sprint S? Well, we just borrow a Sprint parent. I just picked a Sprint 7 parent. Yes, it's a 1-star, but again, I'm looking for what? I'm looking for Sprint S, and I'm looking for Leap Forward, so I find a parent that has Sprint S and Leap Forward. That's it. So now I have a Sprint on one side, and I have some Leap Forwards on the left side. So yes, this isn't really giving me anything except, I guess, some Late Surger S, which is nice, but on the right side, I have 7 sparks at very high affinity because people are now doing very high affinity. And so it's like 1 out of every 4 times I will get a Sprint S spark from that. And about every other time I will end up getting Leap Forward. So from there, I knew my limit was going to be around 8 or so runs in order to get an ace. And unfortunately, I can't really run Running Ticket this time and the time allotted because she does have Sprint G. So instead, the game decided that we needed another short-haired character who has a one-track mind for doing things, and we just got bambooed by pressing the Daily Scout button once, and Bamboo Memory came on our account. So that made things a lot easier because this character is basically built for sprint and doesn't require any sort of tampering to do so. So just get bambooed, easy. Anyways, after that, I did a stream where I read out the actual entirety of Bamboo Memory's story. I didn't realize it was going to take 4 hours, but that indeed activated the streamer passive because despite running a deck with 4 chain events, with 2 of them being Agema Sens, as well as basically running sprints only on one side of the actual chain, or actual parent lineage, and the sparks not having anything, because that's the thing I was sacrificing, is I was wanting white sparks and I was wanting pink sparks, so I sacrificed the blue sparks. I said, hey, my cards are going to be good enough, so my blue sparks are complete garbage. I just hit on the first try during stream. I guess streamer luck, right? But this is the first ace. This is Bamboo Memory. Of course, Bamboo Memory has acceleration and kit when you pass people in the back half, so you kind of build around that by trying to put a bunch of final corner and mid-race on the character, and then just late race to finish it out. So we ended up getting Leap Forward, which was kind of lucky. We, of course, got Sprint S. We got decent speed and power. It's not the greatest, I guess, but it's not too far off. This is my Lone Wolf character for it, just to supplement that speed. And then after that, just a bunch of efficient mid-race and late-race skills from that. Our accelerations on this one are basically just Leap Forward, Red Hot Discipline and On Your Left. I don't think there's any other ones that do it, and the reason is that I don't want to over excel. If I hit a good On Your Left, and if I hit a good leap forward, which I should, it's literally guaranteed 0.2 acceleration at a near perfect proc because his overtake is going to happen on the situations where you're winning. So basically, leap forward is chaining into Red Hot Discipline with the bonus of On Your Left hitting every other time. That's plenty of excel. So now I can spend all the rest of my skill points on basically double circling everything: sprint corners, late surger corners, the sprint straights, all the different late race that I have. This Bamboo Memory is actually quite good. After I branched off from fighting my own subscribers who were all also late surgers and also very good at playing the game, it did get a lot easier when I was fighting like normal people who don't know exactly what they're doing. So I have high hopes for this ace in picking up quite a few victories, even though it is a late surger. I think late surgers are perfectly fine, but yeah, this is ace number 1. And so I did change up the parent after Bamboo Memory because Bamboo Memory, again, has that 0.4 excel in kit. After the pass, it's realistically closer to 0.3, but still, I did need an additional 0.2 somewhere in the kit. So I did go and swap over to a Measure Orion, and when you do that, and Sprint not being on Measure Orion's like actual stuff, your choices are rather rare. So I wanted Leap Forward, and of course I wanted Sprint, so you go and you sacrifice the blue with Guts. So we did get Pump Iron on it. And we did start to build a King Halo using the same procedure. Basically, same deck, same sparks. It was just all kind of 1-stars and 2-star sparks that didn't really give that much. And we hit the first one, but it didn't get Sprint A. Otherwise, it's still a perfectly fine ace. We had a really funny one with Groundwork and 5 greens, but it's not guaranteed Groundwork. This one I'm highly, highly tempted to run. Someone in the comments may actually convince me to run this because it's just so funny. The only thing is that we don't have Professor of Curvature, but there is a ton of late race on this one with the other particular skills. The other problem is that the power isn't very, very high. We did end up hitting, and this one doesn't look very glamorous. There is no leap forward on this particular one, but it does go and try to high roll with Ignite Pure Power. Blinding Flash kind of works as late race with a little bit of high upside. Its primary role is to hit 6th place and also hit On Your Left on a good timing with Ig Power as our sort of high roll option. So it's been working in rooms just because Prideful King is just a very good late race skill. It's kind of like a Triumphant Pulse, especially when running 3 late surgers as well, because we're all kind of going and cascading into each other in the 6th place position. So this is the King Halo that I have set right now. I could run this one if someone convinces me that it's better, but I just don't think it is. And I think at this point, I like this King Halo. It's perfectly fine. It has very high speed and has good power. And then after that, I just made an Oguri. This one's a little more difficult because I had to go from Sprint D to Sprint A, but basically the same parents ended up working. I did hit that Sprint S, very high speed. Again, we got Leap Forward on the Oguri Cap, and at that point, Triumphant Pulse will go and carry me. There is, again, we got lucky with all our chain events. We got pretty much every chain event except for Position Pilfer, Agimus Ending, and this Oguri Cap is perfectly fine as well. Okay? Again, the decks for all of these were basically Nakayama Festa with my On Your Left Nice Nature, Fast and Furious on the Marvy event power card, Kids in Black giving us Professor of Curvature, and then just a wit card, a general wit card, and a general speed card with skill point bonus. The reason why I wasn't using Throne is because I was just having a little bit of fun. I do think Throne was still better with full throttle in it for me to do, but Nakayama Festa was actually giving me like Umastan hints and stuff, which was kind of funny. And just in general, it was just a fun card to do as a 3rd wit card. So I would probably replace Throne if I ran it back, but it ended up working out just fine. And having nothing ventured on all 3 of my aces, I believe, if I run the funny one, right? Nope, this one's just Risky Business. But having Risky Business on one of them and nothing ventured on 2 of them makes me rather happy. So that's it. We're going to run a fun practice race. I'll get you some audio here, but other than that, I will basically leave you with the race, and then I'll go and analyze it at the very end. So let me go and swap over the audio. Actually, I forgot. I have to go over the actual ones. The aces are in set 1, 7, and 9. The Oguri Cap ace, the King Halo Ace 2 and Bamboo Memory Ace 1. Otherwise, I did fill up the room with Taiki shuttles that aren't perfectly built, but they are perfectly fine. They were the backup aces that I had for Pace Chaser. They're 3 Taiki shuttles I made just to normalize the race. Otherwise, the Funny Groundwork King Halo is in number 3. The Sprint Day King Halo is in number 6. And the Low Wit Oguri Cap, one of the failed aces that I had, is in number 8. So that's all of them. Let's get into the race.
ゲートが開いた。各馬娘揃って綺麗なスタートを切りました。これは位置取りが熾烈になりそうですね。先行争いは4番待機シャトル、6番キングヘイロー、5番待機シャトル、注目のバンブーメモリー、少し後方に位置取りましたね。この位置なら周囲の様子を伺います。冷静にレースを進めてますね。先頭をかけます。4番待機シャトル、2番手の位置で先頭を伺うのは5番待機シャトル、少し後ろから2番待機シャトル、6番キングヘイロー、並んでくる5番手、7番キングヘイロー。まもなく第4コーナーカーブ、勝負どころ、最後の直線へとかけていきます。まだ1馬身以上の差があるぞ。ここから捉えることができるのか。最後のコーナー、はっ、これはまた一つ空気を離したっす。じりじり詰める5番待機シャトル、5番待機シャトル、かわして先頭に立った。外からバンブーメモリー、驚異的な末脚、200を通過。並んでくる3番キングヘイロー、ここでかわして先頭は3番キングヘイロー、3番キングヘイロー、今ゴールイン。悪くないわ。でもここで止まりたくもないの。
Well, I guess King Halo is a good character. I didn't expect all 3 to run, and of course the one I pick is last, as per usual. Yeah. I swear it's every time, guys. We may be running the Funny Groundwork one. Now, yes, this is not a indicative, what's it called? This is not a very good representation because there's no way there's ever going to be 6 late surgers and 3 pace chasers in a lobby. There's going to be like 6 pace chasers and 3 late surgers. And, but yeah, nothing really too much. The King Halo, that one was the one that took the inner rail, and that's really the difference between all of them. There wasn't any ultimates. The only thing is Oguri Cap did get snuffed out of the gate from being blocked. And of course, Bamboo Memory took the widest swing possible, so it did not matter that she actually hit 2 instances of her ultimate. There was not enough to actually go and win the race from that point because it just takes an additional like 100 meters at that point. So hope you enjoyed this. That was the team. Let me know if you have any other questions for CM16. Put them in the comments. Otherwise, I'm probably going to stream the first couple rounds, and then we'll get through there. Looking forward to CM16. And on to Grand Live, I think. Parent Building and Grand Live are the 2 next topics for this channel. Take care, everyone. Burb out.